Hello, people! Under the sea, under the sea. And that is what we are painting today. We are painting some coral reefs. And I wanted to have our homage to Little Mermaid. Hope y'all have enjoyed this, because that's what we're gonna work on under the sea today. All right. I just needed to be really dorky. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. This is a fun lesson, and I am very, very excited about it. So, we are going to be making a coral reef today, and I wanted to go over this whole month of July has been under the sea, has been our theme, and so we are going to do coral reefs today. The 1st of July, we did fishes and fish. And then last week, we did these wonderful seashells under the seashore. All right. And so today we're going to do some coral reefs. And I have some examples for us to look at also. So that's going to be fun. And let's talk about a few other announcements. I have a new class coming up where we focus on Star Wars. And so if you're interested in that, just hit me up. But it's for basically ages 9 and up can do this class. And it's going to be pre-recorded and you get access to all of them. So that's coming out also. And let's get started with some under the sea. All right, so this lesson is very, very fun. And actually, I spend more time with pen stuff than I actually do anything else. So let's talk about what we need. So we need some paper. I like watercolor paper. It's my favorite. It's 140 pound right there. You see that? 140 pound paper is my favorite. And it holds up water really well. And I like to take one of these pieces of paper and I like to divide them in half. So now I have double. And of course, this is a really good size to practice on so I don't waste my paper. So that's to begin with. And I'm going to use 2 paintbrushes today. One paintbrush is called a 1/4 inch mop. And it's my favorite. And then I also have a number 2.0 round brush, and it's very, very small, if you can see that. And so I use this like most of this lesson, so you do want to have a small brush. And you're gonna need some watercolors. Any watercolors will do. And I just like all my colors in this one, so that's what I'm going to use today. You're going to need some water, a paper towel, pencil, and a pen. I normally say that you have to have an eraser, but you actually don't have to have an eraser for this one because, well, I mean, you might want to, but I kind of don't. I might not erase it all today. So, let's see here. And some water. I think that's it. So, y'all ready to get started? Yeah! Under the sea. Okay. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was coral reefs. And how their shapes are so different and so many different colors. So this one here, this is an example of one. And I just wanted you all to see what one would look like. So you see all of the different texture. And so there's little holes in it and then there's even little spots. Now if you had to draw this, it would be kind of like little globs of stuff everywhere, right? And then so with then little dots on it. So the point is that you can't do this wrong. Anybody can draw this. So I know some of you are wanting other people to draw it for you and you color it. I want you to draw it. And then I wanted to show you this one. This one is something that me and my husband actually found on a beach. And I just absolutely loved this color. So this tells you that coral reefs can be any color that you want them to be. And sometimes they have little holes in them, like this is very, very fragile. So, but look also how it starts out down here at the bottom. So it starts out with like these veins, and then each vein kind of comes up off of it. So that is just something for us to think about when we are making our coral reef, okay? I'm going to put this to the side. Hopefully I don't hurt it. Got to take it back to the cabinet. Okay, so now what we're going to do, Barb, you missed me singing Under the Sea. You would have died. It would have been great. Okay, so let's start drawing. Okay, I'm going to put this right in here so we can all see that. Moving that out of the way. See if I can't get everything in here. All right, so I'm going to start with a horizon line. We've got to have some kind of line for our sand, right? So I'm going to just come in here, and you see it's not even a straight line. It's just a line. It doesn't really matter what it is, okay? And I'm going to start from the left, and I'm going to move my way to the right as I go along here, or I think that's what I'm going to do. You know me, I never really know what I'm going to do until I actually do it. So let's start with some grasses, some seaweed, because that's, you know, one of the biggest things that Sebastian talks about is seaweed in the sea. So let's talk about how we're going to do it. First off, I'm just going to start with a squiggle. So I'm going to make it as tall as I want. And I'm just going to make it like a little S curve all the way down. So that's my first one. And I'm going to make this several times. So I'm going to do another one. I'm going to do another one. I'm going to do some short ones. And I'm going to stop there with 4. And the biggest thing I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to make it like a ribbon. So I'm going to start at the point, and I'm going to see if I can't do the opposite all the way down. It's kind of fun. It doesn't really matter what it kind of looks like. It kind of reminds you of a snake. And you can be as curvy as you want. Now, so there's 4 of them, but one of the things that happens when they're under the sea is that they kind of, some of them go behind it, some of them go beside it. So I'm going to, after I do these 4, I'm going to make some behind it. Now, so I'm going to start here, and I'm going to just come in and make one that went across. Do you see that? And this one is in front of the one I'm just now making. So I'm going to sit here, and I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't add another line there. And I'm going to see if I can't do another one. I'm going to keep making them go, yeah, I'm going to make it go this way. So I'm going to sit here. And you see that one went way across. Now you might get a little confused. That's okay. We can figure it out. It really doesn't matter. That's what's so great about this. All right, so there's some seaweed. All right. Now I think I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to make another, I told you I was going to do left to right. You know me. I'm going to start making something else over here on the right. Mainly because this is big and I want something else big over here on the right too. So this one, I'm going to try to make it look, I'm going to start down here at the bottom, and I'm going to start with 3 squiggles. They all start down here at the bottom on the sand, kind of just like this one does. This is what we're going for. You see that? And how it's all connected down here at the bottom. So we're going to sit there, and then after all of that, I'm going to come in and I'm going to make more lines. I don't want them to touch each other. I just want them all to be separate. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep adding those little V's. So on every one of these tips, I'm going to do another. See if I can't make it go even more. Okay, I might get quiet in this lesson because this is really fun for me. I just kind of keep adding stuff as I go. So there's two big large things. So now I'm going to fill in the middle of this and I'm going to work towards the center. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start with, let's make some more seaweed, right? No. All right, let's go ahead and make this orange buddy. So I'm going to kind of have him behind this seaweed, but not completely. So I'm just going to come over and I'm going to make basically like I did with that last one, is I made one long stem and I'm going to make a Y off of it. All right, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep making, I may make 3. There, I did 3. Really depends on what yours looks like. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not going to I don't want them to touch each other. Just making little branches. So I might make that one go. See, that one's behind that. All right. That's good. You know what I might do with this is I might, on every single one of these, add a circle. And so all I'm doing here is drawing patterns and shapes, and I'm repeating them over and over and over again. And that's what's so fun about doing these types of things. So that one was a 3, this one is a 1, and then we've got our seaweed. So let's make a different type of seaweed over here. And let's make it more of a leafy kind. So I'm going to start here and kind of come in, and I'm going to make it all go. See, that one's behind that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of make clouds, I guess you should say, on each one of these. It doesn't matter, right? That's what's so great about this. Coral reefs are so unique. Okay, so I've kind of kept it all right here on the horizon line. So one of the things that I want to do is I want to start bringing stuff forward, right? Because right now, everything's flat, everything's whatever. So we need to start bringing stuff a little bit closer to us. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to do like this little purple one here. So I'm going to start maybe down here. I'm going to start with a little circle. And then I'm going to, again, I'm going to start with another circle, and I'm going to combine them. All right. Then I'm going to come in, do another circle, and I'm going to make it go there. I'm going to make another circle and connect it right there. Then I'm going to make another circle. Do you see? I'm just making these over and over again circles. Now see, that one was behind everybody else. Circle, and then I'm going to do that. So there's one that's in the foreground, so it is in front of. I'm going to do another one like that, and I'm going to do, there's these things, I don't know, it looks like mud pit thingies, that little, I don't know, but they also have a lot of circles. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to do a line like that, and I'm going to make a circle, 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 circle. Okay, and now I'm coming in and I'm making these fluffy circular, so this would be called a cylinder, right? And I think I might add a little bit more all the way in here. I might add it right in the middle, make that go behind it. Okay, so I like that. And then there's another one where, so right now what we're doing is we've made it into 2 columns, right, or rows. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do something that looks like a starburst. But this time I think I'm going to make it over here. So it was over there. I'm going to make it over here now. I'm going to start here and make some circles in a circle. And I'm going to put one circle right there in the middle. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another little dot. And that little dot is where I want all of these to go to. You see how I'm making it go to each individual one. Only to the circle. I might even add some more. I think that's fun. And I'm going to add some more. You can add as many as you want. That's what's so fun about this. All right. Now, let's talk about one that kind of looks like, I don't know. It's one that looks like this, all right? So one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to make squiggles. Back and forth. You see that? And that's it. That's all I'm going to do. That's one of them. We'll make it look like something when we actually go to paint it. Okay, I'm liking that. I might want to put another, so I'm going to put a big old rock here. And it's going to be gray. And it's going to have tons of little dots everywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and draw those dots. And I'm going to just do that. Now see, this is where you might want to erase a little bit. So I'm going to erase just a tiny bit there. Just so I can get my little dots in there and not. All right. So that's what I'm going to start with. Now we're going to paint. Okay. Yeah, we don't have to draw this forever. Like, this is one of those things that's fun and that we get to experience as we go along. It's kind of fun. So I'm activating my watercolors. So I'm spraying my watercolors with some water. Okay. And now the biggest thing I'm going to do first is I'm going to put some water on it. Like, we need to paint some blue water. So one of the things that I'm going to do is take my brush in some water, and I'm going to, it's not a whole lot of water, but I'm going to get the lightest blue that I can find. And I'm just going to come in here, and I'm starting with it really a lot on my brush, and then I'm kind of barely touching it as I go down. All right. So I've got a lot on my brush, and then I'm making it go down. Starting a lot on my brush, and then I'm adding a little bit more as I go down. So I'm going to continue to do that. Now, I don't have a ton of water on here, okay? I don't want you to worry about getting it on top of things, but I want it to be the lightest blue possible. Okay? The lightest blue possible. I want it to be like baby blue. Really, 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 really light. All right. So I'm going to, mine's covered. It's all blue. One of the things I'm going to do now is I'm going to add sand. So my sand is going to be a little bit of, I'm just going to get a goldy color here. And I'm just going to come in and I am going to do some of the same things. Make sure you wipe off your brush really good. So I'm getting my paper towel right there. And I'm just going to come in and add some of that goldy color to this whole little area. You don't have to do a whole lot of that, but we're just adding it. So this gives us a starting point. Now, what our biggest thing is we don't want this to be completely, like totally wet, all right? So I know we used water or whatever, and it's a little bit wet, but it's not sopping wet. It's not as wet as this down here. So I'm done with this big brush, and I'm gonna go to my small brush. So I've got my small brush. It is a 2.0 round brush, and I'm gonna pick some of my favorite colors, whatever I think the Little Mermaid had, right? Like, so I'm gonna start with me some teal, and I'm gonna come in here and I'm going to just go ahead, and I'm not having to worry too much about staying in these lines, okay? I am just putting it down. Now, because it's still wet, it may bleed a little bit. If it's bleeding too much, then you should wait. But if it is just a little, like see, that's just a little over here on the right, left, I mean, and I'm just coming down. Now, be careful if you've put anything in front of your seaweed, be careful to not paint your seaweed in this rock, like me. And I am not really worried that much about keeping my paint in my lines. And I'll show you why when we get out, a little bit later. But you still want to be able to see your lines. But it's not like, you know, we've before had to really worry about it. So there's some of my seaweed. We've got to do our first layer of all of this. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do some orange next. So I've got me some orange, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to sit here and paint this all over. Now, I'm painting the circle first, because what I want is, I want it to have a bigger spot on the tips here. Now be careful to not paint over things. If you, like this one is behind it, that one's behind it. So I'm being real careful to not paint everywhere. Now yours could look different than mine. Hopefully it does, right? Art is all, what's the word? Unique. And we don't have to all look the same, be the same, paint the same, draw the same. That's also one of the reasons I love coral reefs, is they're all so different. It's amazing. Okay, so I have that painted. That's my one. I'm not really with those two touched. That's okay. That's completely fine right now. I'm just letting that be the way it is. I'm letting it go. It is what it is. I might, now I'm looking at this going, I feel like I need something in this spot right here. I think I'm going to go ahead and add one. Now you may not have this problem, but I am adding one right here. And it looks a little off because it doesn't have that writing or whatever, right? Like my outline, but it'll be all right. All right, that's good. I'm going to come over to this one and I'm going to make it yellow or pink. I want bright, bright pink. Although the one that I have is almost fuchsia purple, I'm going to go with pink, pink. All right, and I'm going to just sit here and I'm coming in and I'm just adding these lines to it. Now, you'll notice that I'm not exactly being the straightest. I kind of wiggle sometimes when I'm doing it, right? Like my hand shakes. You'll also notice that when I do this, sometimes I push down hard and sometimes I push down really lightly. And it's just giving me a little bit of a variety of different types of lines. Because why? Why do you think I'm doing that? Because coral reefs are all different. And we can do whatever we want to with them. There is no wrong way. So Summer, if you're listening, I hope you drew it. I'm picking on you because I know you can do better. Well, it's not that you can do better. I just know that you can do it, period. She's my little painter little girl. I think we're cousins. What's the word for it? Second cousins, I think. I think that's the right word. Anyways, I like Summer. She's got a lot going on for her. And not to mention, she's got a great name, right? Who wouldn't want to be Summer? Okay, so right now, one of the things that I have is a hole. You see this hole right here? You may not have that hole. So one of the things that I want to do is I'm going to add something there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and add another little bit. All right, so there's that. I'm gonna wipe off my brush and I'm gonna change colors and I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna start working on this bottom half. So on this bottom half, let's talk about this rock. I think I'm gonna make it gray first. It's gonna have different colors in it, but for the most part right now, let's make it gray. If you don't have gray, pick another color. Who cares? I don't know if I would go black just yet though. You can make gray with black if you want. And what you do there is you take some black and then you put a whole lot of water on it and that helps. Now you notice that I have this line because these two are overlapping. So one of the things I think I'm going to do right here is I'm going to get me some of that yellow color and I'm going to see if I can't blend that in with this rock. So now it's a yellow gray rock. Okay, I'm going to keep on coming and I'm going to come down here and I think I'm going to do purple. So purple is one of my favorite colors. And I'm going to come in and paint each one of these purple. And you see we're only doing one layer first and then we're going to do a second layer and then we get to have the fun part. The fun part is actually pin, I think, for this one for sure. Okay, so I think I'm going to choose, I don't know, what color should we make that right there? Well, that's going to be green. I think I'm going to start here with this green one first. Let's see what it looks like. So I'm just going to come in, add me some green in here. And there we go. All right, so now I know, I think I might make it blue. I'm going to, oh, maybe it's, maybe it's actually yellow. I think I'm going to go straight yellow. Although it's on yellow, that's not a good idea. I don't know. There's enough difference. I'm going to go for it. You see that? I said I was going to go for it, and I just did it. I did think about it. One of the things that I thought about was, is this color going to show up on top of whatever it's on top of, right? But one of the reasons I chose yellow is because when yellow and purple are together, it makes them brighter. And that is what is so fun about yellow and purple. All right. I think I'm gonna go straight pink for this one right here. And if you notice, all I'm doing is sort of making little circles with my pink. And some places it's a little bit more than others, and other places doesn't have anything. So there's that. And now I think I'm gonna go straight blue. I'm gonna go with a darker blue, and I'm gonna come in here and add it all the way down. Now this one has those little, I'm just making little circles all the way down here. You're just kind of making, it's a column and that's what you're filling, but don't forget about those squiggles. So the way I'm squiggling is I'm doing little circles. Okay, I think that's my first round. Do you see a coral reef? Yes. All right, so my second round is about shading. So where things are going behind things are going to be a little bit darker, okay? So for example, I'm going to get me a darker teal color here, and on each one of these little areas, like every other one, I'm going to color in a little bit darker. And I'm just going to come in and add a little bit to each one of these. And I'm going to just pick and choose. Now this whole one right here is all darker than this one right here, okay? Because he's behind. So I'm going to come in, add that. I'm going to stay focused here on what I've got going on. This one right here is behind all of it, so I'm going to paint the whole thing darker. All right. This is such a fun lesson. I just love it. It's just so unique. And it's like your brain just lets you take over and do whatever you want. All right, so that's my second layer of those. I'm gonna keep on coming. I'm gonna just go to this orange one, and I'm gonna get a darker orange. My darker orange, I think I'm gonna make is a little gold brown color. And I'm going to do each one of these dots darker first, okay? And you'll notice I'm leaving I'm basically just making a dot in each one of them. I'm not coloring the whole thing, just a little dot. Okay, that already looks better, doesn't it? Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. So I'm going to come in now with the other color, and I'm going to just paint on one side of each one of these. One side all the way down. So right now what we're doing is we're adding some dimension to things. And we are just adding, doesn't matter if you mess up or not, we're just adding some extra colors in here so we can see what we've got to work with. And I am gonna do a little bit down here so that shows up. Nice. I'm liking it. Okay, I'm gonna go to I'm gonna leave this yellow alone because I don't want it to bleed with this orange one. So I'm gonna go to the green, and I'm gonna get a darker green color, or maybe a brighter green. What do you say? Let's go bright, 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 bright green. So I've got me some bright green, and I'm just adding it in here. You could add it only on one side of your line if you want, or you could just paint the whole thing this color. And see, each time you come in with a different color, it gets darker and darker and darker, right? It's adding some dimension, some texture. So there's that. I like it. I'm going to come over and now I'm going to go back. I'm going to come down to this pink one. I'm going to go straight pink. Again, I've got a darker pink that I'm going to work with, so I'm going to keep on going. And I'm going to just paint over what I did with a darker color. And just come in. Again, remember, sometimes I'm pushing down hard, sometimes I'm pushing down really lightly. And the lighter I go, the more it actually, skinnier my line is. The harder I go, the more wider my line is. And you'll also notice that towards the bottom here, it's kind of all blending together, and that's okay, because that's what's happening in mine, right, that I showed you at the beginning. So I'm just coming in and I'm adding, I'm thirsty, y'all. I'm adding to this. You don't have to add it everywhere either. You can just do it in places if you wanted to. You see how I'm just doing that? All right, I like that. So now I'm going to come down and I'm going to go back to my yellow because I think that's given it enough time. I've got some yellow and I'm going to paint only one side of it. That's why you see it's important to only have a little baby brush for this, right? Can you imagine doing this with big brushes? But I do know people that do this whole thing with a big brush. Whew. I don't have the patience for that. So I've got me a small, basically it's all, and I, for this one, am just picking and I'm kind of making little circles in it. So wherever my, see I had some curly cues that made circles and I just added some of that color straight to that, and that's what I did there. Let's go to this blue one right here. I'm going to take me some blue and I'm going to go in and I'm adding stripes to this one. Just like that, all the way down. Now, to add stripes, I'm barely using the tip of my brush. And I'm being ever so slightly. So I learned that ever so slightly from yoga. And I'm going to color in each one of these little spots. I like coral reefs. I love how different they are. You can't go wrong. You can't. Okay, now let's do this purple one. Oh, and we're almost ready. So I'm going to take some purple. I'm adding it to just these top things. I think I'm going to add another one. So I added that one in there too. I felt like it just needed something. That one's behind it. All right, let's go to this rock. So I'm taking my rock and I'm going to, on all of these dots, I'm going to make it even darker. So I could choose, I think I'm going to choose just red. And I'm going to make red dots all over this. And I'm barely using the tip of my brush. The more I push down, the bigger the dot. And the lighter I push down, the smaller the dot. I want a variety of dots. Okay? And like that. Now, one last thing, on a few places, I'm just going to go add a little bit more color, but not much, all right? So, like, I want this to pop out just a little bit more. So, I'm going to come in here just to the edges of some of these. So I'm basically doing it only where I feel I need them. Like it's behind something, or I want it to stand out just a little bit more. Like that one right there. Okay. And let's see if there's anywhere else. I like that one. I think I want this green one to stand out just a little bit more. So, you see that? I just added a whole lot of green to only one side. And I'm actually making dots down it. I'm not painting it. I'm just doing dots. So I'm letting my brush do that. So I think I want some of that to be a little bit brighter too. So I'm going to get me a little bit more pink, and I'm just going to add it in here. Okay. Now, looking good, looking good. I don't really have much to say about that one. I'm okay with the way that looks. I'm okay with that. So one of the things I'm going to do now is I'm going to worry about I'm going to let my coral reef rest, and we're going to work on the water and also the last part over here, the sand. So I'm using my small brush. I'm going to go get me a darker blue. So I've got me some blue on my brush, and I'm coming in and I am being real careful. Don't have a lot of water on my brush, okay? To not touch everything. I'm just kind of coloring it in a little bit. You see how I am going in just a little bit. I'm leaving white space. I'm not touching, the blue is not touching my object. And if you have to take a little bit more time to get in some of these areas, that's okay. Take your time. You know, you can always pause this and watch the replay. You don't have to keep up with me. But do you see how I'm only doing a little bit at a time? I'm coming back for water when I need it, but I'm not coming back for a whole lot of water. And if I do it, if I have a whole lot, I'm not going to go into a little spot. I'm going to go into a bigger spot and then do it. For example, so I have a whole lot of blue right now. I'm going to come out here to this big spot, I've used it all up. I'm going to take my water, and now I'm going to come in and I'm going to see if I can't move some of that around. All right. We're going to keep on doing that. See, that was a whole lot of blue right there. So I'm going to take some water, and I'm going to be real careful not to touch things with it, and just move it down. You don't have to have it the same blue everywhere either, right? So we could switch our blues, or we could have this area a little bit lighter, and this one, so it doesn't have to be the same consistency is what I'm saying. Just has to be sort of, I just want to add some blue in there. Oh, that was a lot of blue. Did you see that? Oh boy, that's one of those. I should have started that up here. So what I'm going to do is steal some of it. I'm going to take some water in my brush, come in here, and I'm going to move it. Did you see that? I'm taking some of it from here, and I'm moving it elsewhere. This only works if it's wet. So see, right there, it was starting to be dry a little bit. So I'm coming in and I'm adding a little bit more. Almost done with the water here. You don't have to do too much to this. The more texture you have, like right here, it tells you that, hey, maybe it's rough water. Maybe there's a shadow, right? Maybe there's a boat going by. I don't know. All right, so I have my water done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to my sand. I'm going to get a dark, I think I'm going to get gray first. I'm going to take me some gray, And I'm going to add it underneath each one of my plants or my coral. Okay. And I'm just adding some gray in here. So what this gray does is it adds a little bit of shadow. It adds texture because, you know, when you're under the water, you have all those ripples and stuff. That's sort of what this is. This is what this is doing, this gray part. All right, I'm liking that. I'm going to now take some of the same gold color that I had, and I'm going to do a little bit of that too. And see if I can't make it a little bit more ripply. You think that's a word? I don't know. Ripply. Okay. So, nice. Now, the key here is hopefully our coral is dry, because that's what's the fun part. Okay, I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to put down my paintbrush. I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to get my brush. If for any reason you don't think that this is dry, I don't do this step yet. You wait until it's dry to do this. I'm going to hit mine with a real quick blow dryer so you can see. This is called a Heat It tool by Ranger. I bought it off of Amazon. Hobby Lobby used to carry it. And it doesn't take much to dry watercolor. Like, that should be it. And one of the reasons I love that is that it doesn't blow your face off, right? So I have my pen. It is called a Uniball Signo Bold. Make sure you say Bold 207. And so what I'm going to do here, and instead, you know how normally I tell you to go real fast and I tell you to be sloppy. Well, this time I'm doing it a little different. I'm coming in, and I'm actually coming in, and instead of paying attention to my lines, I'm paying attention to the paint. You see that? And I'm making it a little bit more, it looks wider, it looks snakish, right? And so I'm just doing it as an object instead of doing it real fast like I normally do. All you people are going, oh, this is how I normally do it. You all know me. It's all messy. Okay. And I'm paying attention to the shape of the paint. Not. All right, so I've done that one whole time. I'm going to leave that the way it is. I'm going to keep in and notice that I did do. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to add little dots. Maybe it's on the red, maybe it's not. My red isn't completely dry yet. But I'm just adding little dots. Now this can be really fun, as in you could add a whole lot of dots, you could add a little bit of dots. All right, I like that the way it is. I'm gonna move on. So again, with my coral, I'm gonna pay attention to the color, not my lines. So first off, because I do want each one of these little circles here to be, you know, important, I'm going to go ahead and I'm making each one of them. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm coming in and I am following the shape of each one of these. And you see, I even get quiet because this kind of makes my right brain go, oh, this is so much fun. Just lets me follow things. I don't have to think too much. And I'm coming in and I am adding it to each one of these. All right. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to do this one. Now this one I do that same thing. But I'm trying to do it all in one line almost. Do you see that? I'm making long, smooth lines. I'm just tracing each one. I'm making sure they all match. Another thing I could do is I could start making squiggles as I go down. So instead of smooth, it could be squiggles, just like this. And it squiggles all the way around this color. Now that's fun. It's a little bit harder to do though. I'm having to think really hard. And you're gonna get out of the pink, out of the line. Don't forget about this side. And that's okay, because this is a watercolor. The white part actually makes it feel like it's the highlight. So when we skip over a part or something like that, do you see why now I didn't want any of them to touch? Okay, that's nice. All right, I like that. You like that? I'm going to come in and I'm going to sit here with this one, making my circles. And this time I think I'm going to make 2 circles inside of it. Or maybe it's a dot. I don't know. In each one of those circles. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to draw my lines. And I'm making sure that they all go into that middle section. Now, one of the things, well, I'm not going to do that yet. Okay. And so I'm coming in and I'm paying attention to my color, my painting. Not all those lines that I drew. You see why I said it didn't really matter? No, this is very different for me. Going slow like this. All right, I'm going to come over here to this blue one. This time, I'm drawing it pretty close to what I had to begin with. I need to probably do those circles though. So I do my circles, coming in. Okay, and this one here, this little one, is what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make a few squiggles here. I'm kind of doing it around my darker pink ones, and that's about all I'm doing with that one. Theirs doesn't take much. And then I've got this purple one, and I'm just gonna add it down here. Now that we've done this, my favorite part, which is like adding some funny little things to it, like what do you want to do? So I like to add a little bit of cross hatching, which is shading, right, with my pen. So wherever I want it to be darker, I'm just adding a few little tiny marks. And it doesn't take much. So there's that. And now with this coral, I think I'm going to make horizontal little lines everywhere. So I'm just coming in and I'm adding. Do you see how much fun this is? It may not be fun to you. It's a different type of fun for me. Like, you know, I like to go really fast, and I like to not be real clean and messy. But one of the things I like about this is that it's different, and sometimes my brain's like, oh, that feels good. So I'm just adding in here little C's all over the place. You see how it's just adding a little bit of texture? So I could continue to do that. Now here I could do, these could go straight down like this. I'm adding a line in each single one of these. Just the column. That's not bad. But do you see how these two don't really, you can't tell that that's yellow and that's orange? Yeah, didn't plan that too well. I'm gonna add just a little lines like that through those. I think I'm gonna leave this the way it is. I kind of like, okay, so do you see that? I'm adding squiggles. You know me, I can't leave it not have squiggles. Yeah. This one I think I'm gonna do only on half. I'm gonna make these little marks on one side of every single one of these. That looks fun. I'm not going to touch this one too much unless I'm going to add, maybe I'm going to add a little bit of, yeah, I like that. And then on this one, I think I'm going to just make it polka dotted. And you can add all kinds of different patterns to any of these. And I'm not going to do anything in those circles. All right, and so what I do now is I'm going to come in here, only if it's dry, I'm adding some marks to say, oh, this is sitting right here on this. That's why I have that mark right there. Another thing that I like to do is to add maybe some bubbles. So I'm just going to add a little bit of circles, different colors, or not colors, sizes, to add just a little bit of bubbles. All right, I like that. Do you all like that? I had fun. So next week, I'm signing my work over here towards the corner. Next week, what I'm doing is mermaids, merman and a mermaid. So we are going to really get under the sea. And we can get all kinds of fun with that. So know that we are going to do mermaids under the sea next week. And I also have another class coming up on only Star Wars. So if you want more information about that, let me know. And other in this series was seashells and some fish. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.